Well, it wasn't the outcome the Diamondbacks wanted in Game 3 of the NLDS. A loss to the Dodgers that's sending the Dodgers to the NLCS against either the Cubs or the Nationals. Jordan, we saw tonight not the battle that we thought we would saw. We both kind of had talked about before coming into this game that we expected to see a little bit more from the Diamondbacks than what we saw in Games 1 and 2.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks, a 3-1 loss, they did battle until the very end. Paul Goldschmidt was fouling pitches off left and right before they were finally eliminated. But really, the series as a whole, you could tell who the better team was in that. The Diamondbacks took care of business against the Dodgers for the most part in the regular season, but really from the get-go with Taijuan Walker's one-inning start, Robbie Ray struggled in his start, and Zach Greinke probably one of the better starts that we've seen from him recently, and the best postseason start that we've seen. But by no means was it easy for him, and I don't think anyone would call that effective. So obviously disappointing, but the Diamondbacks have plenty to build on.
Going into the clubhouse today, hugs all around. The guys were obviously upset. Here's what a few of them had to say after the loss.
We didn't really have the beginnings that those connected at bats that were made us good throughout the whole year. We couldn't really get that going against these guys, but you got to give their pitchers credit. They didn't let us have any really big innings, and they came up with a bunch of timely hits on their end, and like I said, they just outplayed us.
I think he was just throwing a lot of strikes, so he's ahead in the count. When we tried to be aggressive, we made quick outs because he wasn't making many mistakes. And then when he got 2 strikes, he's tough. He's able to throw his fastball, cutter, and slider. He was, pitched really well. We were trying to find a way to get some going, but, couldn't really do that much off him.
You mentioned that Zach Greinke's start tonight was one of the most effective out of all the Diamondbacks' postseason starts. What was it that you liked out of him, and what could he have done better?
Well, I'll preface with that the bar was pretty low for the starting pitching performances in this postseason, with Zach Greinke included in that wild card game. What he was able to do was, for the most part, keep base runners off. Aside from Chris Taylor hitting a leadoff double and coming around to score due to some productive outs, really they didn't hit him very hard up until about the 5th or the 6th inning when Cody Bellinger was able to go opposite field, and then eventually Austin Barnes. But what he was able to do was limit a very good offense. Now, what they were able to do was jack his pitch count up very quickly. There were plenty of 3-2 counts. We saw Yasiel Puig, just like he did in Los Angeles against Taijuan Walker, have about an 8 to 10 pitch at bat. A couple of those guys were able to do that. Even Yu Darvish, the pitcher, had a 6 or 7 pitch at bat as well. So the efficiency wasn't quite there, but he was effective. We'll say inefficiently effective on that one, but that led to an early exit for him, early-ish. And then, just a couple bad pitches to Cody Bellinger and Austin Barnes, and that was really the difference in the game. But overall, I thought that he had a very good game, but it just, like we said, the pitch count, he should have been able to go much deeper into this one.
You mentioned Bellinger and Barnes. Cody Bellinger, obviously a Hamilton product, and Austin Barnes went to Arizona State. Both of them with big nights tonight.
Yeah, both of them had solo shots, as I mentioned. Bellinger really struggled this postseason, and actually looking at his numbers against the Diamondbacks this year, they weren't very good. He was hitting about 180, had some power, but not what kind of we've become familiar with him, but had a big opposite field shot, and it was one of those where a 22-year-old rookie shouldn't be able to kind of have the presence of mind of taking a Zach Greinke changeup that's off the plate, let it get deep, and go with it, and then knock it out of the ballpark. And then Austin Barnes, who's been kind of just one of the surprise players on this team, and it seems like if you have a playoff team that's going to make a deep run, you need to have a couple of guys who kind of fly under the radar, and I feel like Austin Barnes was able to do that. Also was able to turn on a Zach Greinke pitch, get it out of the ballpark, and again, that was the difference in that. So, yeah, 2 guys with Arizona ties making the Diamondbacks pay.
You mentioned Cody Bellinger shouldn't necessarily be able to make that kind of adjustment on a Zach Greinke pitch as a rookie. Dave Roberts actually had a conversation with him before that at bat. Here's what he had to say about the adjustment.
After that, the fly out to left field, and when he came back and put his bat back in the bat rack, and just told him how much I believed in him, and just go out there and what he's done for our ball club all year, and don't try to do too much. Just be you. Go out there and play the game with the zeal and the youthful enthusiasm that he does. and don't really worry about results. Just go out there and compete. And it was nice to see him get some results that next at bat.
Diamondbacks lose to the Dodgers 3-1. The Dodgers will advance to the NLCS. Torey Lovullo said he's going to let this one hurt a little bit, but he knows this team is going to be ready to come back and build off of this year.
You look for the positives and the silver lining and everything in moments like these, but I'm hurting right now, as the guys are, and I'm sure I'll reflect on that at some point over the next several days. But for right now, I want to remember how I feel, because I think it'll motivate me, and the pain and the frustration that we're all experiencing right now. I think the guys will feel that in a very normal fashion and digest it on their own. But I want them to properly work through that. I don't want them to dismiss the feeling and kind of bury it in the back of their mind. And I think they will. And I know collectively as a group, we're going to look back on this year as one that was very productive.